David, quick background from me. I started life at Wessex Water and kind of jumped ship not very far over to kind of EnTrade, and I'm a kind of water and kind of nutrient specialist and sort of scientist by background. So today's purpose is really to kind of take you through the application process for this first kind of lens trade, which I spoke and presented to a few of you back in February about. We've now got, after kind of few years of talking about lens, we've now got a live scheme with live funds, the funding pot attached, and hopefully you've seen the scheme handbook, which I sort of appreciate is quite a hefty tome. This is, sorry, okay. Yeah, it's quite a hefty tone. So I can't remember how many pages it is, but there's sort of 51 measures in there. So what we're doing there is kind of giving you a bit of structure, kind of describing what measures are going to kind of save phosphorus and what the kind of requirements for those measures might be. Hopefully a lot of those are kind of familiar to you if you read into the detail. A lot of the requirements are sort of similar to stewardship or other schemes that you're used to. The only difference with this is this online application process and some more kind of flexibility in the price. So I'll guide you through the kind of online kind of application process. So first I've got a few slides, and then I'm going to take you onto the platform and show you how to kind of apply in real time. So we've got this 4-step sort of process from creating an account, registering on the platform, actually placing an application, placing a bid in a live scheme, and then post kind of the scheme finishing, kind of signing up to a contract and delivering the outcome, verifying that it's that measure, that option is in place, and then obviously kind of the keep it getting paid for this value creation. So the first step in the process I'll guide you through is just registering. So you do that, obviously it's on online portals, you do that via your email address, you get sent a kind of verification code, and that kind of creates a secure site for you where you can enter some kind of basic details, farm details, name, address, bits and pieces like that, and you can enter kind of locations of fields or areas that you'd like to kind of enter into the scheme. So that's the first stage. The second stage is actually placing an application, and you've got a number of options to kind of choose from. They're split into kind of subcategories, but there's also kind of options to kind of choose your own measures, your own ideas that you've come up with. So there's a couple of innovation options in there where you kind of set your own ideas into motion and kind of price them accordingly. And as I show you, anything you enter, any kind of application you make, you can always kind of add, edit or delete it right up to the close of applications, and also it's not binding until you've obviously signed a contract to deliver that outcome. So once the kind of process once closing date is passed, then EnTrade will kind of assess the value of those options that you've selected in terms of, in this first application scheme, the phosphorus value, so the kilos of phosphorus that option may save, and therefore the kind of value to the buyers, and then maybe, with some of these bespoke options, it may be that we need further information on exactly how it's going to work or be implemented, and there may be an element of kind of price negotiation on what, based on what it's worth in terms of the kind of phosphorus saving to the buyer. then there's a kind of contracting process and a verification process to go through. Sometimes that can be done kind of remotely. So we've got a verification app that we'll make available, where you can go out into the field or the yard and take a snapshot of what's changed, and in some cases that kind of automatically verifies the contract and gets you onto the all-important bit, which is getting paid for I say, delivering this value. And we've got kind of an online system for doing that, which kind of pays sort of direct to your account. So that's the general 4-step process. So now going to switch screens and go to a kind of a platform demonstration and show you the steps that you go through in applying. If I can exit screen. So can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start open a new browser. So you navigate to EnTrade. That will pop the new snazzy website, and then at the top you can see these kind of this login option. Just, if anyone can't,
at the moment we can still only see your PowerPoint presentation, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I've switched view, so just let me know when you can see the website.
We can see it. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Brilliant. So what we do is we kind of log in at the top here. So the first time you
and up there, we got there. Yeah.
Brilliant. So the first time you
Cheers, thanks. Bye.
So the first time you log into EnTrade, you have to create an account. After that, you just kind of log straight in. So you'll see our kind of privacy policy and other kind of terms of use and bits on here, and that's what you kind of sign up to when you create an account. So as I said, we create an account. That's what you do the first time you visit. You put in your email address. And then click this kind of send verification code button. That will send a link to your email address, and then you just verify that email account is yours. Then you'll set a password, and then that's it. You're in. So then now I'm going to log in on an account I've already got, just to show you how to complete that registration process. When you've registered, you'll be asked which kind of auction or which scheme you'd like to participate in. Look for this kind of Hampshire Avon logo, and click that one. So when you first register, this is the screen that you'll see. So you've just got to fill in some personal details, basic business details, and some field details. So this is just a test account. So just first name, second name, contact details, and preferences. You can go in and edit these at any time, and then sort of basic kind of farm details, so holding number, size of farm, type of farm, etc. And then enter enter kind of any field details for areas that you want to submit. So I've got a couple of fields that I've entered previously, but just to show you how that process works. So to add a new field, you go here, put in a field name. The size of that field, and basic things like the soil type, and then you can either zoom in the map to find your location. Can everyone see the map okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's responding in time, or you can stick in postcode or a place name and navigate direct to your sort of farm address. So I'm gonna put in another field. So I've got one outside the patch, but over here. So I'm just going to stick in another field to show you how it's done. So basically, just click this draw field outline, and then just click around the kind of margins of your field. It obviously doesn't have to be precise, and you put in the area size. So we're not measuring the area based on the kind of polygon or the field that you enter, and that can be a subset. It can be a subset of the field, or it can be the whole field. So we could let's add that one.
Sorry, Jez, can I ask a question at this point?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I think several of them would have yard options. Do you just go the same process, but just call it a yard in the comments, or?
Yeah, that's right. So when I go through making an application, I'll show you. But based on the option you're applying for, how you mark the location differs. So if it is a field option, such as cover crops or subsoiling or something, then you'll be asked to kind of reference the field. Whereas if it's a yard, you just spot the location with a dot, and if it's kind of a linear feature like a hedgerow or a track or something, then it's just drawing a line on the map. So doing this in advance, kind of adding the fields, just helps in the kind of application process. So that's the field we just added, glebe, and we've got some that we've previously added. So now we can apply we can apply a measure in any one of these fields when we actually apply. Just saves us coming out of the kind of application process to add a field. So if we click home at the top here, what you'll see is a list of opportunities. Usually there's only one or two live in an area at a time. So this is the scheme, the start date, the end date, and then we've got this apply button on the right. So click that, and then you've got some basic introductory text of what we're looking for, what we're trying to achieve in this location, and we've got the kind of full scheme guidance, so the handbook available to view here as well. Take a second to download just to prove it's there, so you can reference any of the detail or contents as required, and then you've got these categories and the options, and the options within those categories. So if you click in this category box, you've got the various categories, or if you click in this options applied, you've got the full list of options. But I appreciate that can be a bit overwhelming, so it's probably best to kind of select a a category first. So let's just pick one. So let's go for a gateway, and we're going to go for a kind of gateway relocation, and then so what then pops up is the specification for that option, pulled out of the handbook. just to make sure you can kind of meet those requirements and it's suitable for your situation. So then enter the number of gateways you're planning to relocate. So we're just going to say the one, and then it's offering you a price based on the kind of unit price for that prescribed option. And then you can either select the kind of the field where that gateway is. So I'll just select the one we just entered. And you can just draw a dot where that gateway is. So we're just going to draw a dot there. So we've got gateway. You can draw as many dots as required. You can clear those dots as well if it's sort of you place it in the wrong place or place too many. So we're just going to say we've got a gateway here that we're planning to kind of relocate. And then if we've got any kind of prior photos, just helps kind of set context, especially in these times where we can't get out and visit or can't see things on the ground. It just gives us an idea of the sort of setting and whether it's indeed kind of could do with tidying up. So we can enter a photo or just leave it blank, but and then click this create button and we've added that that option. Now we can either go through to the next step and just prove we've got the kind of consents and submit that option, or we can add further measures. So we're just going to add a further measure just to show you how it's done. So I go back to kind of application details, and then just choose a different option. So let's go for a hedge. And say for this option, because it's a hedge, it's a linear feature. So zoom back to our location, and we're going to put in a hedge kind of just across this margin. Oh. I don't know why that's not. Okay, let's try selecting a field first. Put a hedge right in the middle of the field. There we go. Yeah, so with some of these options you might have to select a field first, others you won't. Don't worry if any of this detail is missing. Obviously you need to put in kind of the size of the feature, but for some of the options it might ask you for some other details, so the soil P index of the field, etc. It's kind of, think of it more like a sort of classified. So the more information you have, the better. So if you've got, say, the mileage of your car, it's going to sell better than one which doesn't. So it's just providing supporting information so we can assess the kind of value of the application, really. And obviously these locations don't need to be precise. It's just giving us an idea of where it is. So we'll create that hedgerow option. You can see the gateway that we applied for and the hedge. So it kind of gives you a running total. And you now go in and kind of edit or view those or delete any of those options if they're not suitable. And then we go on to the kind of final step, which is all about consents. And kind of making sure you've kind of read the terms and conditions, really. So you can choose to upload files. So this might be supporting information to show, to show that you've got necessary consents to, say, carry out works within the kind of riparian zone, for example. But the kind of main one here that you can't submit an application without without reading and ticking is the kind of the terms and conditions. And then you've got a number of tick boxes just to check you're kind of compliant with various bits and pieces, and that you've done your kind of necessary checks that the option's suitable for your particular situation. But don't worry if you don't have any of these up front. It's something we can work on. If you leave it unticked, as I say, you can still submit the application. So I click submit. And it gives us time to answer the phone. It'll think about it for a minute, and then it'll present a message saying thank you for the application and be reviewed in due course. There we go. So it's it shows that your kind of application's been submitted, and we'll be in touch once we've reviewed it, and we'll outline those steps in a minute. But you can also go in and review it or change or edit it at any time. So feel free to kind of play around with this, because as I say, you could just you don't have to submit anything and delete anything you created. So here's example. That's what we've kind of just submitted, and we can go back in and edit these or delete that entirely. And I mean, yeah, if you need to get in contact or need any further help, there's options available on the platform, or myself or Simon could kind of guide you step by step through the process, or look at anything that you've submitted, just check it's it's suitable and you're kind of happy with it. So that's the basics on the platform.
Yes, is it worth saying, because it applies to how I sort of work around these things, that you can have you're not going to be able to take in everything that you've gone through, although actually it is quite a simple system that if you just you can mess around on it and practice a bit without anything going drastically wrong, can't you? You can go in and delete projects and things, so
sure, yeah,
around on it and get comfortable with it.
Yeah, I do encourage you to go in and play. As say, anything you've submitted, it's not binding until you've kind of signed a contract on it, and up until the closing date, anything can be deleted or edited. So if you're not quite sure, or haven't got all the details of something yet, or kind of want to add a photo or consent in future, just submit what you've got currently, and it's sort of a mark, puts down a marker really of something that we can develop with you, and something that can hopefully kind of pique the kind of buyer's interest in funding. So, and as I say, myself or Simon can kind of guide you through it over the phone, or live as you're applying, or go back in and review something that you've submitted if you so wish. So can you see my slides again?
Not yet.
No, so we're still,
Yeah, not at the moment.
so I might just have to switch view.
Yeah, they're back up on my screen.
Great,
Yeah,
thanks.
that's good. Thanks, Jazz.
Yeah, so this is just kind of the kind of next steps, really, kind of how to get in contact. I say the scheme's live. We've got just over a kind of week left till the kind of application close window. Go online and register and apply as you kind of see fit. You do it 24 hours a day. All the kind of detailed information is in that handbook. But we're myself, Simon or Paula, you also available to kind of guide people with applications? So that's, yeah, I mean, obviously familiar with some of the options and prospects in the pipeline. So yeah, I'd say go ahead and have a play. David, did you just want to run through the kind of next steps?
Yeah.
Post applying.
Yeah. Once the bids are made, then the process after the bidding closes is that we'll go through each of the proposed projects and sort of start estimating the amount of phosphorus that each project will reduce, so we can sort of work out a kind of cost effectiveness for each one of the proposals. We'll send those to the buyers, who in this case are Wessex Water and Wiltshire Council, for them to look at. They will have a look at it and work out how they want a contract, and if there are any queries. It might be that there might be a couple of fine tunings of bids or just clarifications that we'll come back to you with during mid-May. And then once hopefully that's all sorted out, then we'll sort of draft up the final contracts by the end of May, for then you to decide, yeah, this is it, this is the price, this is the work I'm going to do, I'm ready to contract on that. And obviously looking after into June, we'll then communicate all the outcomes and also start talking about the plans for future schemes, because we think this will carry on potentially for more into the future, because as I said, MOD will be interested in buying. We might want to expand the sort of area covered and things like that, but that's sort of just going forward into the future years. But that's a general sort of hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing goes too wrong in the world to stop us sticking to that timeline, but that's what we're planning to do at the moment.
Brilliant, thanks, David. And one thing I didn't focus on, actually, I missed, is actually the farmer kind of innovation options. So I pulled out a couple of examples of existing measures, and the reason we've got that handbook is to kind of provide a bit of structure and give you an idea of what will deliver some kind of phosphorus savings. But we're obviously open to ideas, and I think it's measure 30 and 51 are both kind of innovation options. So any bespoke ideas you've got, however kind of whatever stage they're at, whether it's just a kind of an idea or a fully fledged plan, then stick them in, and we'll see what we can do in terms of assessing the phosphorus impact of those. So contact details are on the front of the scheme handbook. You've got Simon, Paula's contact details, and yeah, I'd say there's the kind of EnTrade's email address and kind of website for you to log in. So yeah, we've now got sort of 15 minutes or so for any questions you have.
Right, can I ask one? Do you mind?
Yeah, no, jump in.
Is there any? Do you have any indication on what sort of thing the buyers are looking at, or do you expect it will just come down to the amount of phosphorus being saved?
Phosphorus is certainly the kind of primary driver in this first trade. So both Wessex and Wiltshire Council are looking for quantified kind of phosphorus savings. And so depending on the option, so we've put together that list of options based on what we know kind of saves phosphorus, or can in the right situation save fair amounts of phosphorus kind of cost effectively. Obviously they're looking for kind of immediate impacts on the kind of Avon, so the closer it is, the more connected it is, the better. But something further away will contribute in time. So the immediate buying preference would be for things which are a sore thumb, stand out, and are in kind of close proximity to the kind of the river, and we can quantify that they can save reasonable amounts of phosphorus. But there's going to be a degree of uncertainty as we kind of build the science around this. Some options are sort of straightforward, got a good handle on what they'll save, and they're almost the kind of gold standard, the gold kind of credit, phosphorus credit, if you like. But there'll be some options where it depends on the kind of situation, where the yard is, etc., how connected it is, and there'll be greater uncertainty over some of those options, and there'll be there'll be sort of silver category and a kind of sort of bronze category, and then it just depends on the buyer's appetite, really. So they'll be presented with those list of options, an estimate of the kind of phosphorus saving, and the certainty of those estimates, and then it's up to them what they then decide to kind of contract with. But I think, even though the driver is phosphorus, if it does have wider benefits for carbon and kind of sediment runoff, then all the better. I think that's the way hopefully this marketplace and trades can evolve, as we take consideration of this kind of wider and multiple benefits, and that's what we're starting to look at in other geographies. So this is sort of the first step, and it's great to be working with you guys as a farmer group, but in time, I imagine it may kind of expand, and we may be looking at other kind of landscape outcomes as well.
Yeah, but just to add to that, I mean, the conversation I had with Wiltshire is that they are interested, obviously, because they've declared a climate emergency. So they will be starting to think about just carbon storage options, and obviously natural flood management as well. So they're not there yet, but I think that's the beauty of what we're going to offer here, is that we can get a first set of trades up and saying, look what you could have had, and show them that, and that will give their councillors more confidence and more willingness to buy and pay more, I think, for some of the measures that they perhaps can't afford at the moment.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And what sort of percentage payment do you expect them to be putting in with? I presume they're not funding 100%, or they will be? Or?
Yeah, it depends entirely on the saving, the kind of estimated phosphorus saving at this stage. So there's some guidance in the handbook, but it depends on the option. Some of the capital options we're looking for sort of a 50% match sort of funding from yourselves. Other options or kind of bespoke kind of options, it's up to you what you propose, really. If you want 100% of the funding, ask for it. It's a starting point for negotiation. Obviously, if it's only delivering 1 or 2 kilos and you're charging a few £1,000 for it, then ultimately it's going to come down to the kind of cost effectiveness per kilo of phosphorus. So I say use the handbook as a sort of framework, but don't be bound by it. If you if you've got a situation on your farm, you know it best, and you know you know, what your price is for that. You know, some of our other schemes, we've run them, this is sort of grant scheme slash kind of auction sort of negotiation schemes. So it's a bit of a blend of a few approaches, whereas elsewhere we've got auctions which are purely run as an auction, where we've got good kind of clarity on the kind of savings that the options will deliver.
I'd say, yeah,
so,
I'd
yeah,
say
so-
bit of ask for as much as you can, really. But as you say, in that negotiation piece, when we take the bid and we've calculated the phosphorus back to the buyers, there'll be a range of a range of options. Some projects will be saving phosphorus at, say, £200 a kilo. Some of it will be saving it at £1,000 a kilo. And so I guess, you know, the buyers will want to look for the cheaper options first, but they also want to buy quite a lot of phosphorus. So there'll be a little that sort of negotiation phase in mid-May will be where the buyers will say, well, would you be interested? Would you be able to do this if we were only going to grant you this much money? But on the whole, they're trying to get, you know, they're trying to get a target amount of phosphorus back. It's something like 100 and I think it's over 200 kilos of phosphorus in the first auction. So, yeah, they want to buy. They won't buy ridiculous prices, but there's space there. And from our perspective as a trading platform, we're trying to make it fair for both buyers and sellers to get a price that, you know, reflects how much it's going to cost you to do it, and hopefully a little bit of profit. You might be doing it for other reasons as well that will give you good returns in your farm business, so you know what price is an acceptable price. But the point is that, yeah, you can decide what an acceptable price is. You're not obliged to do it. But let's use it as it is meant to be a trade, so it's a marketplace really for you guys to sort of hopefully engage in a conversation which will get a fair price for everybody.
Great, thank you very much.
Brilliant. Any other questions?
There's Charlie here. Last year we did a couple hundred acres of cover cropping up on the downs, which Paula had an influence in what we ordered and stuff. I mean, that's something I'd be looking to do more of again. You know, what do we cover there? The seed and stuff like that, or how does it sort of work on the application? You just put in cover crop like on.
Yeah, so and it comes back to kind of David's point really in what, you know, striking that value. What's it worth to you in terms of kind of value to the farm versus the kind of value of saving in terms of phosphorus. So yeah, you can either go for the kind of the rates kind of prescribed through the handbook, or your own bespoke price covering costs. You know, if that's a, you know, a seed mix over a straight, it's you know, your costs are going to be higher depending on your kind of establishment, structure and practice, all the rest. You've ultimately got the best kind of handle on your costs, and therefore the price that you want set for doing that. So yeah, kind of throw that back to you in terms of pricing. The handbook is just a guide really.
So we leave the guide price in there when we apply for it, and then when we go further on, then we negotiate what it's going to cost us to do, etc.
Yeah. So if you apply through one of the drop down options, you're basically looking at that guide price as your price as accepted. But if you're looking to negotiate on the price, then I'd stick it in as an innovation option. So just under, I think it's, let's say, number option 30 and 51, but just stick in the kind of area of cover crops and your price per hectare, and stick in as a bespoke option there, and we go from there really in terms of assessing its value.
Okay, cool.
So, yes, just to sort of clarify on that, then, if we were to put in a cover crop under the cover crop option, we can't. Obviously, you put the area in and it calculates the payment. We can't alter that. under that option. We have to just do it under innovation or something.
No, yeah. So for any of the off the shelf options, if you like, that's the price that will be, it will auto calculate the kind of price based on the unit price per unit, and generally what we're doing there is looking at that as the kind of accepted price. If you want to kind of package things up at a farm level, then I'd suggest you do that under the kind of farmer innovation kind of option 30, and just list what you plan to do and your bespoke price for each of those. So it can differ from the prices presented. That's really just a guideline, because really it's about how effective they are. So I'm not saying that it's going to be accepted at the price that the guideline price, but that just kind of helps kind of create some structure around the scheme. Else we'd just have a kind of an open floor really. But I'd just say, yeah, if you want to, I think there's a space for comments, but and we can always pick it up afterwards if you have submitted it via a defined option. Just ping us an email to say I'd like to kind of negotiate on the price, or here's my price associated with that. It's just a way of kind of capturing the information really, and finding out what you're interested in, because the more information we can and interest we can kind of provide or supply to the buyers, as David said, they've got this target. If we can show that we're even halfway towards meeting that from the landscape, then we're going to hold their interest, and we're going to be able to hopefully develop these schemes. So I just submit everything you've got or thought of at this stage really.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jez. Cheers.
I don't know if you've seen in the chat, but James has just put, how long do the options last? Is it just 1 year, e.g. a grass buffer strip? Does it last for more than a year, or just that year you're applying?
Yeah, good question. I think the price is an annual price, but it depends on the kind of buyer's requirements again. We've got a mix of requirements, some kind of short term, sort of 3 to kind of 5 years, aligning with the kind of water company investment cycle, but we've also got much longer term kind of requirements around kind of planning and nutrient neutrality. And also depends on the option, I guess. So if it's a cover crop, obviously it's an annual and those fields sort of move around. If it's a grassland, it's sort of more permanent, but it's generally kind of shorter term sort of rotation. But if it's if it's a wetland, it's a fairly permanent feature, and so you'd be looking to kind of the buyer will also be looking to secure that in over the long term, and you'd be looking to kind of get the funding to kind of maintain that feature over the long term as well. So it does depend on the option you're applying for. And what the buyer wants.
About with James and Sam before that query came up, I suppose it's just if you're say establishing a grass buffer strip, you've got more significant expense in the first year in terms of seed and establishment. It's got to be one price if it's for 1 year, but if it's for 5 years, obviously you can spread that first year cost. So there's a potential for a variation in the cost of doing the work and the required payment to make it sort of viable, depending on how long it's down, the option is for.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we wouldn't necessarily be putting in a buffer for a year, so it would be the lifetime cost that you're looking at.